Okay, in this video, I'm going to talk about my affinity for the Nick Drake song, The Things Behind the Sun. I'm going to avoid the lyrical interpretation because I'll do that via text in the post that I'm about to create. However, I do want to talk about the music theory behind what I heard as I was listening to it and how I was exposed to the song to begin with. So first and foremost, I heard this song as the second song behind Parasite that I had heard when I was on Beck.com a number of years ago. But I heard the song the other night on the Burnt Toast Show on Northeast Indiana Public Radio, and it is hosted by Todd Harold, who is somebody that I truly respect as a musician and as somebody who's recommended several albums to me, either directly or through what is posted on the Burnt Toast Show's Facebook page and what they play on Sunday nights. It is a wonderful radio program and it expands your horizons musically. Nonetheless, Nick Drake's The Things Behind the Sun was played the other night on their show, and once again, I wasn't just affected by the song, I was haunted by it the same way I had been haunted by Parasite. So one of the things that stood out to me of any Nick Drake song is that when you listen to it, the beautiful sound of his voice, very British, very quiet. It's almost like he's whispering his secrets to you about how he feels about everything when he approaches the microphone with songs like these. And the other thing that stood out to me then was the chord progression. As I was listening to it, and then I later looked it up and figured out the missing pieces and things like that, I thought it was very impressive that he had played in non-standard tuning for so many of his songs before, but that this one he had been in standard tuning, except for that he had put a capo either on the 4th or the 5th fret, depending on your source. One of the things that makes recordings from his era, like the late 1960s, early 70s, interesting is that they could be sometimes slowed down so that they were a half step lower or a partial of a half step lower or a quarter step lower, all kinds of weird stuff that the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, and other artists did to try to dissuade people from learning how to play their songs by not playing in standard tuning. I'm not sure that this was done purposely necessarily, but as I was listening to it, you could reason that the song was in D flat minor, or you could get it in D minor, depending on the situation. I tuned my guitar to standard tuning, and then I put a capo on the 5th fret to kind of replicate what he was doing. But what stood out to me then was obviously there's an introduction to it, but the main part where the lyrics are taking place, where he starts to sing, "Please beware of them that stare," like it's in that D minor on the 5th fret, so you got your 5, 7, 7, 6, 5. So it's like, "Please beware of them that stare," and then it changes to this A major. "They'll only smile to see you while you're," and then this polychord. It is a combination of a B flat and a G, and a C. And when you play it, I'll number the fret numbers. So on the 6th string, you're playing the 6th fret, and then on the 5th string, you're playing the 8th fret, and then it's all 5s after that. That 11th chord. They'll only make you smile while you're time, and then it goes into this A7 away, and then suspended 4th, and then A7. So when it comes out, it's just this wonderful. First it starts in minor, and then it goes to major, then this 11th chord that's got this dissonance to it, and then a little bit of dissonance on the suspended 4th, and then down into a 7, which still carries that 7th note of dissonance. So it's like, "Please beware of them that stare, they'll only smile to see you while you're time away." Wonderfully done, and it goes back to a thesis that I'm holding here, that he was a lyrical and musical Van Gogh that was never recognized in the time period that he had, and just beautiful tones with everything that he did there. And then it follows up the same kind of chord progression where it's like, and what you've seen, what they have been to, when the earth just won't seem worth your night or day. And then that repeat of that 11th chord. Oh yeah, what I say. Very haunting how his voice is the melody over these extended and dissonant chords. And then later on in the song, then he does this like completely other turnaround where, you know, it had been in D minor, and then it goes into this D major thing where it's like, you know, so D major, D suspended fourth, and then the next chords are D, and then this G chord that's played like a D chord here on the 5th fret. And then it goes down to this F chord, and then F major 7, and then to this G7, and then it goes 6, 7. You know, so it's like. And his voice is like, take your time and you'll be fine. And it's just, I can't emulate how he created a wonderful melody over the course of those chords. And it was such a contrast to everything that he had done to this point. Because up to this point, it had been your typical, like, minor progression, you know. This one more. That changeover, it was so significant, and yet as a lyricist and a somebody who wrote a melody for that and sang over the top of that, that is a very impressive set of notes, and it shows the creativity and unique vision that makes Nick Drake a special musician. And this is all aside from the content of the lyrics of that song that is very ominous about the future of, you know, televangelism and you know, questioning, you know, people who are trying to win the earth, and so to speak. But anyway, that is what makes this song great to me, that Nick Drake song, The Things Behind the Sun. In addition to the lyrics, this very creative use of chords. Not very many musicians can make those kind of transitions from one set of chords to another, the layers of dissonance, four-tone chords, and then be able to sing as fluidly as he did over those things. So that is why, music theory-wise and as a musician, I appreciate Nick Drake's Things Behind the Sun.